here we have a Davis new vertical feed. So what's different about this to the one I've shown you before? Well, it has reverse. Now this reverse is really back tack, so it makes very small stitches backwards. It's not equal front and back. But for locking stitches, that's quite a lot easier than either turning this knob or holding the fabric. That's pretty cool. Up here it has a little extra tensioner to help keep the thread in check. Still the nice easy threading in the top. You don't have to go through the hole, so it's very quick. Same pressure here. Then you have this little lever here, and this lever actually solves one of the problems they had on the other machine, which is the hop. So you'll have seen in some of my other videos I put a piece of plastic, a wedge in there, so that I could do free motion embroidery. This is for thick fabric up and for thin fabric down, and you can adjust how much the foot hops naturally. The other part which is quite fun about this is it has a thread release. This is the thread release mechanism, so when you do this, it technically will release the thread tension. Now at the moment this does not work on this machine. I haven't decided to take this off yet because it's fine, it's working very well. So I didn't want to take off the cover quite yet, but I will get there and I will fix that. I just think the way this may not be the right tensioner, or there's something. There was an extra part here which looks the same as for many of the Singer tensioners. This thing here, and that what happens is normally a pin pushes on that. So I think that's correct, but when I tried to put it on here, it didn't go in far enough. So I just have to figure out what's slightly out of sync. Not the end of the world for me. Certainly I will get that resolved. Now one thing I did learn about this machine, which was very exciting, let me show you here. So I have always had a challenge with my Davis, my other Davis, namely that it would catch the needle sometimes, and it was really fiddly under here. Well, when I got this machine, I finally understood what this part here was about. So this has basically a wire with two screws. This is what keeps the shuttle from catching the needle. So now that I've seen that, I'm going to, hopefully I can find some screws that fit in there, but I have thick wire. I could bend something around without any problem and put that on my other machine, which will solve that problem, and it will finally work 100%. So that's really exciting. I've learned about this as well. Aside from that, same shuttle. I've got all the shuttles, all the attachments. So it's very well, even on fabric on the bias. So I'm really pleased that I managed to get one of these. It was off of Facebook, and I was very happy when I saw this come up. I thought, fabuloso. So I am very excited to be able to use this machine. I've been using it on my next project, which you will see in due course. And I look forward to speaking with you all very soon. I was quite pleased with myself. Now if you look under here, this wire here was what I was missing in my other Davis Vertical Feed. And what I thought I would do is, since I had one here on this machine, I would try and create a copy of it and test it out, and it worked perfectly. The only thing you do have to watch is to make sure it's bent far enough out so that the hole where the needle goes down the needle doesn't actually pop on the other side of the actual wire, but I've only had that happen once. However, the problem I had was these screws here came with the machine, and they're for the machine. But I was really worried on this machine, aside from the fact I had no idea what size they are, but I got out my calipers as well as my thread screws tester, and so I could figure out what they were. But then I thought, are these going to be like with Singer where they're custom screws? I did find out, after doing all the measurements and trying all the tests, that they are in fact number 3 by 48 by 1/4. So they're, you know, not metric screws, given that it's an American machine and old. But these arrived today, and they fit. So I'm quite pleased that I can put this part on the other machine, and I'm going to finally not have the problems I had with when sewing with really thin needles for silk, where the bobbin shuttle or the shuttle would catch the needle sometimes. So I will be able to get this perfectly, and it will make it quiet at long last, because it was a bit noisier than I liked. So I'm thrilled that we've finally got there. It's been a long journey, but now I have the secrets. I have managed to get the tension release mechanism to work. I think there's a little adjustment I need to make inside, but I have managed to get it to cooperate. And the adjustment is that I was getting irregular tension here. So what I've done is I've just for now put a black washer, a little rubber washer, just to raise the discs out a bit. But what I will do is go in here and see if there's a grub screw to allow me to push that in, maybe even just a millimeter. And then all is good. But definitely you can see it works. And obviously when you lift that, that's when it happens automatically, but that little finger there is what triggers that. It's a really nice design, actually. I thought it would be fun to show you this Davis Vertical Feed sewing satin, and even more exciting, satin on the bias. There's a lot of stretch going on, but as you know with the walking foot machine, you're not going to get creep, which is fabulous. So I'll let you So you can see, lovely and quiet. Now I have to do a little trimming here, I just realized, because I had made some adjustments before. And I need to trim these down to the correct seam width, otherwise it's going to look like I'm sewing really crookedly. However, I shall be back in a moment. Okay, back again. Trimming is done. So this is, as you can imagine, slippery fabric. Now I know these are not coming out at the same length, but that's something I expected anyway, because the actual length of the dress is only going to be adjusted at the very end, and these inserts, they're just on the side, and the dress is far too long for Dawn anyway, so I was saving a bit of fabric, putting these inserts in, and not going overboard. I've almost done this one long seam, and then there'll be lots more, and this is only the lining, where it's lined in the same fabric. And then we're right at the end where we're going to hit the reverse button and just locks the stitches. And there we go, all done. That was fun. And snip, snip. So on to the next. So very good stitches, as usual, as expected. I need to press it, and then it'll look perfect. Anyway, catch you soon. One little thing which surprised me a bit was that when I was trying to sew this fabric, ignore the all over the place lines, but and I've been trying to sew this dress for a long time, but no matter what I did, and this is not the first machine I tried this on, which is why I went to the Davis, because when I tried it on my 431, what happened was it was puckering. Well, not quite. It was twisting, which normally means I've stretched the fabric, but believe me, I was being really, really careful. So I thought, okay, obviously user error, something going on here. Adjusted the tensions, yes, that'll be the first comment from everyone. I did everything. So eventually I went over to this machine, my little Davis here, to try it again. Same result. Everything was bent. And I couldn't figure out what I was doing wrong. So I thought, well, this doesn't make sense. The vertical feed cannot have slipping seams. So not quite often what happens is the under the fabric on the bed of other machines gets pushed faster than the top. But on a Davis, because it's needle feed, it can't happen. So I kept trying, and I thought, well, maybe the tension's too tight. So I just went to the minimum tension in bobbin and thread, same kind of results, even with really, really loose stitches. I'm like, what is going on here? Eventually what I realized is this satin that I'm sewing here, it's not silk, so it's behaving in its own peculiar way. But what's happening is just even the slightest bit of tension. So you can see there's oops, sorry, I'll try this without this way. If you look here, there is natural stretch in this fabric. And as it's pushing along, and then the needle lifts and then it goes to the next stitch, just that very action, the fabric is crushing slightly. So I thought, well, I'm not going to stretch it because then you'll end up with that kind of disaster. You'll end up with pucker. So I thought, what can I do? Essentially, it's the tiniest little bit, and this is with almost zero tension. So it's really not a thread thing. You know, you could try bigger needles, that's a possibility, but then you get big holes. In the end, what I decided to do is try something else. So rather than stretching the fabric, just control the feed. So sometimes with cotton, you might try to hold the fabric like that under the needle, just to keep it from moving, stretching, or doing anything. You just keep it in the same level of taut the whole way across. And I thought, well, try it. So what I did is I just put a bit of felt here under the seam guide, and then obviously the fabric will just drag a little bit more than on the steel underneath, and then it goes under there, but it's just dragging just that slight bit. So I just rest my finger gently on that. So it's not stretching the fabric by any stretch, but what this did, it solved the twist immediately. It just solved the fabric personality. So now at least I know when I'm sewing the dress, I won't have to unpick everything because the seams are twisting. I thought it was probably my darts are wrong or something's wrong, but I was like, what the hell? Anyway, that solved the problem. So it's on really, really light tension, so you can see this is like, there's like just no tension on it at all, and that would still cause the twist. So just that little bit of felt did the job. Anyway, hope you found that interesting. Bye for now.